Okay, so once you have your grid, or at least what you think you're going to use, and of course you can always change it, change colors, move the lines around because you've made sure to put all the lines on separate layers. Generally with the pictures, you want those to be on the bottom, you want the lines to be next, and you want the writing to be on top. So in your stacks, in your layer panel, I would arrange things that way. So when you bring a picture in, or a texture, or even if you make a box of color, then just bring that to the bottom. So for instance, if I decide I want to make a box of color, I'm going to go with my rectangular marquee, I'm going to draw it. I can use my eyedropper and sample a color that I've already used. And then I can also use my paint bucket to fill it. And then I would just want to make sure that that's underneath. And this one already is, but you know, if it had been up here, let me bring it back up, so that it was on top, like here, I'm just going to drag it down. So pictures, color boxes at the bottom, then the lines, then the type. Now with your type layout, your choices are put your type in the lines, like here, put the type in the boxes, or if you have photos, I wouldn't recommend putting it right on top. I would make sure the photos had empty spaces. So this doesn't look very nice, right? Because it's too hard to read. So you wouldn't put it there. You'd want a picture that had enough empty places that the type could fit. And I think I have one that could maybe work that way. So I'm going to pull that one up. This one.
You have to put like a band name.
And then after that, I'm going to drag it in. And I'm going to, of course, put it on the bottom. And no, you do not have to put the band name. In fact, it's not really part of the project to advertise the band. It's to illustrate the song. So this picture has some nice dark, simple areas where I think it could work well for type if you wanted. You know, I wouldn't use a lot of type, maybe not all of this, but you could do something. Let's see, my type is on the bottom. Let me bring it up. You could do like one line in the dark part of this. And do remember, guys, I don't mind if you use like the name of the artist, or not the name, but a picture of the artist. But your mission is to illustrate a lyric from a song. It really isn't about making a poster about the band. So, you know, if it's your heartthrob love and you just have to put their picture in, that's okay. You can. Just don't have it 50 times. Don't Bieberize us with hundreds of Justin Biebers everywhere. Which I got last year. I had some hardcore Bieber fans last year. So, you know, here's an instance of the writing going on the picture in a way that works nicely, right? But don't do this, okay? No to this, yes to this. Notice I've made sure I had really good contrast. So dark picture, white type. Light picture, dark type. In this instance, this type is lost. It doesn't have good contrast. And it's going across those lines. It's ugly, right? I haven't formatted it. So if I was going to use it in a box area, I'm going to go in and I'm going to fit it in there so it looks good. So I'm going to zoom in on that. And I'm going to work to get my borders looking really nice. And I think I'm going to raise my type size just a touch. Maybe to type one in, I'll say maybe 16. And now I'm going to use my return key. And sometimes I might have to click and use delete to pull the lines up. But I'm going to work to try to get that writing to look good within the space. And it takes a little bit of effort. You know, in some cases, getting the font size correct, you might have to try a few things just to get it to look nice. But it's worth that, taking that time to lay it out so that it looks really good, because that's a part of being a designer, is that you're controlling all the elements. You're not just kind of going with whatever you get. So I'm going to just keep going. Okay, so I'm continuing on with this and working to get the type to fit. And that's something, this is kind of an odd space, so it's a bit of a challenge to get these borders looking nice. But, you know, I could probably just maybe even emphasize some of the words to get them to fit. You can always take and make certain words larger, and you can change colors too. No, that's horrible. Let's see. And then I can go in and just really figure out, what do I want to emphasize, what do I want to be minor. And I don't know if I like that yet, but you know, it's a start. Now, one thing I did want to talk to you guys about, I don't want to confuse you, because we've been using adjustment layers for those exercises, and you guys are going to be using a bunch of pictures. So if you decide, once you have the pictures in, like maybe I decide, I don't like the color of this, I want it to be slightly different. You know, maybe I'm going to put a color adjustment layer on it. One thing you'll have to do for the pictures themselves, to get it just on one picture and not on the entire thing, you do have to select the picture. You're going to do it via the adjustment layer way. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I just want an adjustment layer on this part, then I'm going to apple click right on the picture so I have it selected. Then I'm going to make my adjustment layer. And oops, I just made a vector mask. Nope. So it's the black and white circle, not the mask. And then I can go and I can do that solid color if I want to, and choose a color. And maybe I just want to cool it down a little. I don't know. I have a lot of warm colors in here, so I was thinking about adding some cool, but I don't know yet design-wise what I like. But I could do something like that. And then for this particular one, remember I have to change the blending mode. So I'm going to switch to color. So that's put a bluish cast, which I would need to work more blue in, obviously, if I was to do that. But just for the, you know, to be able to show you with an adjustment layer. Now, the adjustment layer is separate from the picture. So if I click on this at this point and move it, watch what happens. See how I'm moving the adjustment layer? So that's going to move separately unless you link it. So you can go ahead, you know, I can go and link by selecting them both and then clicking link. Then when I move it, it's going to move them both. So be aware of that. The other thing I could opt to do is to merge the two layers together so that they're all one. It's no longer an adjustment layer. It's become simply one picture. And then it wouldn't be editable like it is at this point. But I could do that. And I would go to layers and I would say merge layers with those layers selected. And now that's no longer an adjustment layer. This is a permanently altered picture. I would work in, if I was doing this, and I haven't decided, you know, who knows if I'll finish this, but I haven't decided if I'm liking that look yet. But if I wanted to do that, I would be needing to add blue in a few places, like probably up here, maybe down here, and I'd want to balance those colors. So any element you bring in, be sure that you're working it into the whole composition so that it looks good, looks like it belongs. That's really it for this demo at the moment that I can think of. Yeah, we'll go ahead and stop here. Hopefully this helps you out when you're figuring out how to lay out your type and how to work with altering colors.